Hello and welcome to the Matthias Warrior channel. This week I'm going to talk about the top Warzone loadout for Season 4 and how it may be something you may not expect. But before we get into that, if you are new to the channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button and make sure to turn the notifications on, as well as set the settings to all so you never miss when I upload the next video. And if you like the video, go ahead and click that like button. Without further ado, let's get into it. As I mentioned a bit ago, I will be going over the top loadout for Season 4 and possibly future seasons, and how it's not quite what you expect it to be. Regardless of what you may have heard, there is no magical loadout that will give you an advantage. The top loadout, or meta as everybody else calls it, is one that you create. As far as any advice people may give you, there is no real authentic advice on how to play better at Warzone. So along with showing you how I set my loadouts, which may be different from yours, being that everyone has different preferences, may even have different weapon selections, I'm not going to tell you though where the best drops are. I will only give you standard or absolute advice due to the SBMM, or skill-based matchmaking, which I will discuss further in a bit. So, first off, on my loadout, I'm not going to go through all my loadouts, just the ones that do exactly what I expect them to do, which is basically all my weapons, my favorites anyway, the ones I primarily use. They're all set up for efficiency and mobility. If I have a weapon that's not set up that way, I make sure it's paired with one that is. So first up, I got the C58 with the AMP 63. And as you can see, I have the accuracy and damage rate buffed, along with the mobility and control. Range and fire rate, I really could care less about because it works great at mid to long range, just the way it's set up. And then for the amp, I have it set for damage. I did give it a little bit of a buff on the range because I usually try to gauge it if it's below 50, if the bar's below 50%, I usually give it a slight boost. But as you can see, once again, I buffed it on the mobility and control. Gave it a slight buff on the accuracy. And then the next choice I have is more for my long range. I have the Poison Dart, which is an LC-10, and I have that paired with a Pelington 703. I can't even say strongly. Everybody's saying, well, the Swiss K31 is the new meta, and to me, it's no different than what it was last season. In fact, I don't think it's any different than when it first came out, other than that they buffed it just a little bit. Pretty much any long range will do. I just choose the Pelington because it's got that wrapped suppression. But once again, I have it set for accuracy and damage. I didn't care about losing a little bit of mobility and control because it still is over 50% of the bar. So that works for me. And then the Pelington, I lost a little bit on the mobility, but with it being a sniper rifle, I don't plan on running around out in the open with it. So once again, I buffed it on the accuracy and damage. I also buffed it on the range because it's a sniper rifle. And then I also gave it a little bit more of a buff on the control and fire rate. And then the next one I got is the Max 10, and I paired that with the Vulture Expo, or Farah. And with the Mac 10, once again, buffed with accuracy and damage, as well as mobility and control. And Farah, I did pretty much the same thing. I gave it a little less mobility because I plan on using this at mid to long range. If I need to get closer, I'll just switch it to the Mac 10 to get the mobility on it. So those are the, that's pretty much how you should be setting up your loadouts. Personally, I don't think just because I have a Farah and a Mac 10 doesn't mean that everybody else should use it. I think that pretty much every weapon is actually viable at this point. I don't think it would really matter if you switched the Farah with the FAR or if you switched it with, oh geez, I don't even remember the whole list anymore. For the Krieg isn't bad, the QBZ isn't bad. I mean, there isn't really a bad weapon. To me, it just comes down to preference. As far as advice, I've been doing a lot of research over the last year on how to get better, and I fell into that trap of trying to get other people's advice, and I realized I was actually walking myself into a wall because, yeah, their strategies work, but they only work for so long due to the skill-based matchmaking. People, for some reason a year ago, people thought skill-based matchmaking only matched you with people with the same KD and accuracy rating, when actually it gauges more than just those two. It also gauges your weapon selection, how you play, where you drop in, how you rotate, what tactics you use. I mean, everything gets pretty much worked into the same thing. And that's where I started realizing that really everybody's advice only worked for like a little bit and then it didn't work anymore. So that's why I said I would not give advice on the best drops. My theory on the whole thing is, it used to be, oh, well, drop in immediately and try to stay on outer circle, don't go towards inner circle. I mean, well, that's common sense. You don't want to go to inner circle anyway, because 9 out of 10, everybody's going to be in there trying to loot because it's the longest running safe zone. But at the same time, you don't want to be on the outer circle because everybody uses that tactic. My theory is you need to watch what everybody else is doing and do the complete opposite. Because if you keep playing the same way, and you have to keep adapting your gameplay, if you keep playing the same way, SBMM, the way the algorithm works with SBMM, it will eventually catch on to how you're playing and will literally put you in lobbies with people that play the same way. So the only advice I can give you are like the definite things that won't affect Warzone that much. One of them being like how to deal with campers in the farmhouses or regular homes, which I would just use basic tactics. If you think they're upstairs, toss a tac grenade in one end and then run around to the other end and throw in a lethal. Once again, keep in mind, you do that and you're one of those people that camp in a building, you're going to wind up eventually in lobbies with people who use the same tactics. As far as best settings, unfortunately console players have a disadvantage as opposed to PC players, because PC players actually have the field of view option, and as a console player, because like right now I'm on a PS4, there is no because it would be in the top 5 selections on PC, but for some reason for console we don't have depth perception. Now, as far as control settings, the best advice I can give on that is, now I have bumper ping tactical, and basically I only use that because It's easier for me to ping where people are. I don't have to keep moving my thumbs around. But I also have it set up for, if I move down to, let's see, where it's got weapons, I have it set up for tap to use for use and reload behavior. I have for plate behavior, apply all. Left my aim assist as standard because to me, I almost feel like turning it off because there's times where I'll be focused on somebody and somebody also run in my view and throw me off. Let's see, as far as equipment behavior, hold. And then I move down to movement. For slide behavior, I have tap, and that with the bumper ping tactical, it's going to be the R3 for PS4, and that way you can makes it easier to slide cancel. Turned off auto deploy on parachute because sometimes I do not want to automatically parachute. I prefer to get as close to the ground as I can. As far as sprinting, I have it set for auto sprint. That way I don't have to keep hitting the L3 to sprint all the time. That way all I have to do is just move forward and it automatically puts me in that attack sprint. The other advice I could give on how to train for reflexes and aiming is go into multiplayer and just do bot multiplayer. You sit there, you play by yourself against, I think the max is like 25 bots, I think. And you set the health to 250 because that's the equivalent to basically Warzone. And then you just practice your aiming and reflexes there. As far as testing out your loadout modifications and leveling up your weapons, I would use Plunder and make sure you head to Storage Town because that's where the most people are. And the only way to test your loadout modifications is to get in firefights. Hence why you want to go to where the most people are. So, with that all being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit the like. And if there's anything else you want to add that I may have forgotten, or if you found this helpful, I would love to hear about it. So feel free to leave a comment. And I will catch you on the next one.
Hostiles dropping into the area. Watch the skies.